Look at her. Watch as she smirks from her place above us all, as her lunar accomplice illuminates her. Gaze upon her glittering face, inky blue-black and framed in cotton candy kinks and curls, freckled with the embers of the dying suns from far-off galaxies. The audacity to exist in such vast and effortless beauty and share none of it with me. Well, I've had it. If she's not going to come down here and share her beauty secrets with me over a cup of tea, I'm just going to have to go up there. Are you jealous of the atmosphere? Are you not? Do you not endeavour to be clad in clouds? Do you not lament every day that you do not don a cloak of stars? Do you not wish to wear midnight? Well, I do. And what's more, I shall. If you have been around the keep for any extended period of time, it is at this point that you may find yourself proclaiming, "You can't just keep putting the night sky on things." And to that I say, stop me. Go on, do it. Make me stop. You can't, can you? Because I'm here in my keep and you're stuck in the funny little box I play my video games on. So I shall continue embroidering stars on anything and everything even mildly the colour of night within my reach, and all you can do about it is watch. The assignment is simple. I just so happen to have an excess of supplies either handed to me or purchased in moments of sales-related weakness, alongside a burning need to drape myself in swaths of fabric covered in sparkles. Ergo, the only rational conclusion I can come to is to craft a dramatic blouse that is absolutely drenched in embroidery. This is a collection of threads handed to me by my beautiful in-laws. You see, whenever they come across a craft material they no longer need or want, they hand it to me and I turn it into something strange. However, these 2 boxes of unsorted and chaotic embroidery thread are causing me far too much stress, and I am making it my personal mission this year to use them all up, lest you find me cold and buried under a mountain of second-hand floss. For this particular night-themed piece of garb, I gather anything even vaguely blue in hue amidst this monstrous spaghetti. I've barely managed a dent. The goal will be to use up all the floss from this collection first before dipping into my organised and tidy embroidery boxes. Spoiler alert, I didn't have nearly enough thread, so I ended up running off to my local charity shop and relieving them of their entire stock of blue. This navy cotton slub looked black online, which is why I bought around 3 or 4 meters of the stuff. Originally for my siblings' Nadja costume. Once it arrived, I was very disappointed by the colour, but not the drape or texture of the slub at all. So all this time it has sat in my stash, taking up far too much space while I thought of what to do with it. Is a cotton slub the best material for embroidery? Not particularly. I'm certain you're supposed to use more robust fabrics with tighter weaves for such things. However, I am a master at brute forcing craft materials to my admittedly unhinged will. Most people would tell you to set yourself up for success, but I prefer to set myself up for adversity and then cry out, "Why me?" when everything goes horribly wrong. I need to use up a lot of fabric and a lot of thread, and I can think of only one thing for it. Big sleeve. You see, big sleeve is the solution to many of my issues in life. Too cold? Big sleeve. Too hot? Big sleeve. Too depressed? Big sleeve. I could go on and on, but believe it or not, I'm not trying to bore you. It was rather fortuitous then that I, in my hour of big sleeve need, stumbled across a video by yulemade over on Instagram in which they describe how they made this Russian blouse for a Slavic-inspired hornet drag look. Core blimey, would you look at those long boys. So I have my thread, I have my fabric, I have my blouse of choice, and I have these silver beads I got for Christmas from my sister-in-law. Hello, darling. That means I'm finally ready to get cracking. My usual craft space is a little snug for all this fabric, so I teleport to my dining room table to begin my drafting. I'm using a mixture of this creator's funny little diagram as well as this image I found floating about on ye olde Pinterest as my guides. I trace out some measurements onto some wrapping paper and then chop it out. These are the measurements I came up with. Feel free to screenshot and recreate them yourself, but if you'd like to spare yourself the effort, I just so happen to digitize all of the patterns I cobbled together from these videos and pop them on my Patreon. done. Once my pattern pieces are procured, I attempt to mark them out upon my slubby canvas with tailor's chalk. But this fabric hates me. It wriggles around every time I attempt to make a mark, and once I have actually managed, the chalk barely lasts, which simply will not do for all of the handling this project is about to go through. So after far too much time spent attempting to slog through the trenches to draw a single straight line, I give up and use mustard thread and the absolute slappest of dashery running stitches to mark out my panels instead. This is a lot of fabric to work with, making this project a true test of my limitations, but I have always endeavoured towards improving my various spellcrafts, and trial by fire is the quickest way to do so. That being said, it does not hurt to have a little help, which is why I am very happy to thank today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a virtual learning platform that has creative classes for all your needs, sort of like an endless eternal library with mages at every corner offering to impart the secrets of their craft. Myself being a sewer of garb and holding interest in all things historical, I simply could not stop myself from taking Bernadette Banner's Hand Sewing Basics course. I have been wanting to take this course for a while, and knew this blouse in all its impending hand sewing glory was the perfect push I needed to finally sit my bum at my desk and follow along. All the sewing capabilities I have were garnered by picking up a needle and thread and just starting, so taking time on this particular course and finally learning the basics imparted upon me invaluable knowledge that I may not have known or knew I needed to know. I found the course incredibly easy to digest and have since actually managed to put some of the things I've learned into practice, as you'll come to find out in this very video. I started simply with a sewing class, and my usual focus is always on crafts of all varieties, but I've also caught my cheeky eye wandering towards the expansive collection of illustration, writing, and even filmmaking courses. Ooh. After tackling my first ever sewing class, I feel far better equipped to take on this monumental task I have laid before myself, and so too can you, as Skillshare has graciously offered a 1-month free trial to the first 500 council members who scan this mystical QR code, or follow my link in the description below. Now, I'll need to determine where my clouds will go on my blouse, and to eliminate any and all personal choice from the matter, thus avoiding too much uniformity, I shall be using dice. Not for the numerical value, mind you. I just grab a handful of math rocks from my hoard and toss them like a load of very expensive plastic marbles at my fabric, so I can mark a cloud-adjacent squiggle wherever they come to a stop, which leaves me with my large panels of fabric all marked out and ready for... The majority of what I'm going to be embroidering here are clouds and stars, so here's how I intend to do so. Armed with ever-inefficient chalk, I rough out a slightly better cloud shape than my free-handed placeholders. I can then reach into my bag o' thread and cut myself a strand of whatever's closest. That is, of course, if the strand is long enough to consider cutting at all. Do you like my embroidery stand? I got it second-hand for next to nothing, and it's already proved invaluable. Being able to sit upright while hand sewing is what the young'uns may refer to as a game changer. The embroidery technique I'll be using is known as French knots, achieved by coming up through the fabric, wrapping your thread round your needle, and coming back down very closely to your original point of origin to create a little lump. Combine a bunch of these little lumps and you achieve a cloud-like texture, or so I hope. Any paler blue threads go on top to emulate the way light shines through the more transparent bits, and the darker threads go on the bottom to emulate the more opaque bits. Any medium blues act as transition shades and get shoved unceremoniously somewhere in the middle. For fun and variety, I break up some of the insides of my cotton puffs with lighter streaks, or just make additional little clouds close to them. I use some metallic embroidery floss to scatter stars amidst my night sky, making sure to keep them somewhat uniform in method only, to ensure I can recreate them repeatedly. However, their size, placement, and wonkiness is completely at the mercy of whatever I feel is right in that particular fleeting moment. I can then summon my silver beads to add in some variegated sparkles to my clouds, as well as some more of my very uniform sparkly stars, but this time extra sparkly. Since the rest of the embroidery will be variations of these techniques, and since I hate repeating what I'm doing, I'd like to present to thee, "Oh how my heart doth string, a daring tale of excessive embroidery." Thank goodness the only needles in my next project are the knitting sort. To secure my hard work, I glob on a little fabric glue to hold everything in place and avoid any itchiness, hopefully. Definitely do this for all of the clouds and don't just do a bunch for the camera until I get bored and leave the rest for another day because I'm lazy. Why do you ask? But that's that. Embroidery done, meaning it's finally time for...'Twas my initial intent to use my paper pattern pieces to cut my fabric panels so they'd all be uniform. After all, that's why I kept all of my handiwork far from any seams. Someone quite literally ate the main bodice pattern, so I have to cut out my bodice pieces on a fold and just sort of hope everything matches up in the end. I sew the front two panels together at the centre and leave a bit of space up at the top to form this flappy openy part. Oh, don't mind the seams kissing funny, they're French, you see. I then connect the back bit to the front bits by the shoulder bits to form a bodice so big I cannot capture it correctly on camera. I'm not used to filming big, and I feel strongly that that needs to change. My sleeves are tossed on the floor because I could not be bothered to lug everything back to my dining room, and then chopped into shape and sewn up along the bottom. Those seams are French too. I then pop the sleeves into the blouse and leave it to drape ominously from Lady Manny Quinn while I attempt to sleep. First thing next morning, I zigzag stitch along a bit of yarn to help gather the whole of the neckline down, and finally get this thing looking more blouse-like. I then use leftover fabric scraps to bind off the top edges. I do up any unfinished edges with a rolled hemfoot that I do not know how to use, and sew a little button and a scrap of braided elastic from my stash of wizard trash onto the front to help close up the little clavage window whenever I please. If you find the process of my putting this together difficult to follow because I'm using large bales of darkly coloured fabric, don't worry, so do I. Don't quote me on this, but I believe the sleeve cuffs are usually pinned in place. However, this commenter from my previous video mentioned liking the style of the cuff I wore and would like a tutorial. I didn't make that shirt, but I'm pretty sure the cuff is just fancy shirring, so I'm going to attempt to recreate it despite never having shirred anything in my entire bloody life. I start by winding a bobbin with this elasticated thread, making sure to give it a little tension when I do so because the internet told me to. I then mark out lines upon my cuff in a pattern that goes close, close, far, close, close, far, close, close. Here's a diagram, just in case you didn't understand what I meant. I then sew along the lines with my machine like normal. A note, the top thread is just regular thread, not the elastic sort, which to some may be common knowledge, but it took me an embarrassingly long time to realize that myself when researching, and I just want to make sure I said it out loud for anyone else that needs it, so they don't have to feel embarrassed. And voila, stretchy, fancy cuffs. I don't know how to finish the insides, and the elastic keeps pulling out because it's not secured at all, but there you have it. I hope it helps. All done, and all that's left now is... These sleeves are ridiculous. I think they stretched overnight. In all honesty, I may have made them a bit too big, and the fabric may be too slouchy for the design, but after some clever pinning I can get them to lay in a way I like, and they are immensely comfy. So I'm not too fast. The way she sparkles activates neurons in my brain comparable only to a barrage of fireworks. Look at it, and in the dark with little flecks of light bouncing off of it. Immaculate. Full disclosure, There was supposed to be a daytime version of this blouse for this video. I dyed fabric and everything, but like with most things, I severely underestimated how much time embroidering tiny clouds takes. However, all is not lost, dear council. That video will come at a later date for certain, perhaps with a slightly modified sleeve to go along. But that's for later. For now, this wizard is off to cast something special for my channel anniversary. Ta-ta! Salutations, Council! I don't know if you noticed, but I've been leaving this bit out of my latest videos in order to attempt to appease the eldritch abominations that run the numbers on the internet. But I found that I really missed it, so I'm bringing back the State of Wizardry. Because who cares about analytics when I get to yap to my fellow mages about some general updates? First off, a huge thank you to my Wizard Council. They are marvellous makers with grand ideas and works to whom I am most honoured to have amidst my ranks. Thank you so much for your support, and I hope that you find the patterns I provide useful and, upon occasion, fun. It's technically my channel's anniversary this month, and I do have a video planned to celebrate it up my sleeve, but I just wanted to say a few words on the subject. I am a shockingly sentimental person, and I really don't think I thought I'd get this far this quickly. But here we stand, almost 25,000 strong, and with people telling me they look forward to seeing me post. Madness. Actual madness. This channel is a huge amount of work, but it is work that I enjoy very much, and it is made worth it by you all. I'll be answering some questions in the next video, so if you really like to, here's your last chance to pop a question in the unders. The unders? Yes. I fostered a community of clever, thoughtful, and creative individuals, and I really could not be happier with you lovely lot. Thank you for visiting my keep, sometimes even repeatedly, and coming along while I make things and yap. Anywho, lots to be done for my next feature presentation. Thank you all for your visit to the keep, and I hope we'll see you again soon.